Hey guys, I'm Jay O'Brien. I started selling real estate in 2011, shortly after purchasing my first home and having a very lackluster experience. The agent that I was set up with and the mortgage lender that I was referred to kind of just led to a very sloppy experience, and when the whole thing was over, I felt very deflated from the whole thing. I had just spent the most money I'd ever spent in my entire life on one of the most exciting purchases, and somehow I felt deflated having better experiences buying shoes. So what it did is kind of inspired me to get into the real estate industry and do my part in doing the best I possibly could to enhance that level of client experience. When people are made to feel special, when people are made to feel important, it goes a very long way. It's things that we remember. We remember how people make us feel. And in a real estate transaction, it's different than almost any other industry, being that you have this unique, lengthy period of time where you're able to make that impact over and over again to the client. We don't have that luxury when you underwrite an auto insurance policy or when you're just doing transactional food sales or something along those lines. In real estate, you might have 30, 60, 90 days to work with someone and have the opportunity to elevate peak moments of excitement during that transaction and mitigate against inevitable pitfalls and stressful moments during that transaction. So in the beginning, when I got my real estate license, I was doing the same thing that most of you are doing. You go out, you do anything and everything you can to get a deal, and when it's over, you ask for a review, a testimonial, maybe put them on your website, and this is kind of how you start to build your business. And what we're trying to do is capitalize on the most important source of business, which are referrals, right? I think we can all unanimously agree that is the best, our most favorite source of business. It's not the door knocking, it's not converting the online leads, it's not the open houses. It's getting the red hot referral business from somebody who's already trusted you. When somebody says, hey, you really got to call my friend to sell your house or buy a house and experience the transaction with them, you have built-in forgiveness already. You don't need to be a knee-jerk reaction to pick up your phone every time it rings. You have built-in forgiveness because somebody who already trusts you is the one who's vouching for you. And that's the source of business we want to increase. So in the beginning, I was doing anything and everything I could and everything I knew how, which wasn't much at the time, to just make the experience as great as possible. And afterwards, ask for referrals, ask for reviews. And I believe I was getting referrals at this point. I mean, I know I was. And for 3 years, this has started to grow my business. But it wasn't until about 2014 when I really started to audit my process. And this is the time when you should really take a closer look at your business to ensure that it's defensible, is when things are going well, not when things are going terribly. When things are going great, very often we will ride that wave, which is just a terrible mistake. Instead, we want to ensure that what we're doing is future-proof and really audit the process and be honest with ourselves. What is it that I'm doing so differently above and beyond the competition that's going to keep me in business for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years to come? And in combing through these reviews, I kind of learned something that was a bit alarming. It was 5-star this, 5-star that, but the comments in the review themselves were commending me for always being on time, staying organized with the file, helping get the home of their dreams, answering questions along the way, always answering my phone, blah, blah. If you really zoom out and think about what is being said here, I'm being commended for being on time, for being organized, for answering my phone. If these are the variables that I'm going to lean on to stay in business for decades to come, I'm in big trouble. And even more so, it really opened my eyes to the white space there is in the real estate industry. How can you give somebody a 5-star review, which means A+, 100%, could not be better, but you're just being commended for staying organized? It's not enough. And most importantly, what it illustrates is that the 5-star reviews are really starting to have a diluted meaning in the relationship economy we're in now. See, if you've ever ridden in an Uber or a Lyft or stayed in an Airbnb, You've now seen that every single thing we do is based on a rating. And so long as you showed up somewhere alive, you probably gave that driver a 5-star review. But the reality is, you probably couldn't even tell me the name of that driver. So what's the point of the 5-star review? It's not doing anything to massively increase your referral business. At best, it might be a false sense of credibility to a stranger who finds you online. But really, we're after a passionate referral. So let me explain the difference here. The first 3 years I was in real estate, I believe I was absolutely getting referrals, but they were passive. What a passive referral looks like is a past client of mine is out to dinner with another couple. That couple happens to mention that they're in the market to buy or sell a home, and they say, you know what, you should use Jay. He was great, I highly recommend him. And that couple might respond with, well, Mark knows a guy who just got his license, so I believe we'll probably just go with him, and we're looking at homes this weekend. That's where the conversation ends. This past client of mine did their best to refer me business, but they're not gonna push, they're not gonna be an advocate, and they're not gonna fight for me. The experience with me was good enough, but not so incredible that they are going to passionately ensure that their friend goes through me. So before we go into this, think about this for a minute. Why would somebody passionately refer you business without some sort of kickback or referral fee or something like that? We do it every single day in every aspect of our lives. Think about your favorite movie of all time.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
Think about your favorite restaurant. Think about your favorite destination. Anything that you have passionately referred to somebody else to say, you have to stay here, you have to eat this, you have to watch this movie. Did you get anything in return for doing that? Absolutely not. But you will find fulfillment in knowing that this other person has enjoyed something that you have enjoyed, and they have experienced something that you have experienced. So by elevating the client experience in a real estate transaction so highly, where we're already seeing 5-star reviews for being on time and being organized, what would happen to your reviews if we just massively exploded what goes on during that transaction? And that's what brings you a passionate referral. In 2014, after combing through all these reviews, I started to write down things that I could do that would intertwine throughout the transaction that would really elevate the client experience during these peak moments of excitement, and also kind of help and recognize those inevitable pitfalls, the stressful times in a transaction. So I started to write down things that would proactively solve pain points for clients and just regular, thoughtful, remarkable experiences that I could deliver along the way. So I started jotting those down and manually putting together a process. And eventually, it started to look like this. Let's assume that someone has hired me to represent them in buying a house, but it would be the same whether it was a buyer or a seller. Straight away, once we go under contract, they're going to get an under contract gift. This is comprised of a box that shows up to their house of their current residence, unannounced, they're not expecting it. They open the box, and inside of it, there's a letter that says, during this time, it's my job to remove the stress from the transaction and to ensure that everything's tended to. But if you ever find yourself feeling a little bit anxious, here's some things that might help. And they open that box, and there's a head scalp massager, stress relief tea, Advil, and there's a notepad with a custom pen that says, things for my agent to worry about. When this arrives at the door, not only does it jolt them with a bit of a surprise, but it's also a little humorous, and it breaks the ice. It's already mitigating against the inevitable pitfall of the little bit of stress and uneasiness once we've gone under contract. A few days later, they'll receive a box at their front door, again, a complete surprise, filled with moving boxes, packing tape, and all kinds of supplies they'll need for the move, with a note that just says, one less thing to worry about, from Jay. The reason why this is important is you are proactively solving an inevitable pain point for your client. We know the client is moving. We know when you move, you need moving boxes. We know it's a pain to go drive to the store, get the boxes, bring them back. They're heavy, maybe expensive. So why not just check that off the list for them? Why not just send them without ever being asked for it? Imagine the thoughtfulness that's illustrated through this act alone and how it impacts the client. They immediately feel gratitude that you've done this without being asked to do so, and they're massively, massively appreciative. Several days later, when the loan is approved, when contingencies are lifted, when all the due diligence is completed, and it's gotten to that biggest milestone in a real estate transaction where a commitment is now taking place, and that buyer is either moving forward on the transaction or the seller is receiving that commitment from the buyer, this is a point of excitement, it's a sigh of relief, it's a huge milestone in a real estate transaction. This is something to celebrate. So, we'd send a midway milestone surprise gift, a surprise gourmet gift box filled with all kinds of gourmet snacks and treats with a note that says, "Congratulations, the hard part's over. You can sit back and relax now and enjoy these treats while we take care of the rest." Again, we're just trying to celebrate small wins along the way, elevate those peak moments of excitement. It's already exciting that we've gotten to this stage. Why not celebrate it? A couple days after that, the client will receive an email inviting them to a centralized portal where they can forward their address, transfer their utilities, and take care of all these things with ease without calling every single individual utility provider. Again, proactively solving a pain point and just doing something that's helpful for the client. At the end of a transaction, it's important to just express gratitude to the client for trusting you. It's a very big deal, and it can quickly become a slippery slope if we're constantly quantifying how much we appreciate someone with tangible gifts. A closing gift not only solidifies the end of a relationship, which is something I don't want to do if I want referral business, but it's also quantifying a human relationship in the fact that I am now saying, thank you for doing this, and because you did this, I'm gonna do that. And if this is a $200 gift card to Lowe's or a bottle of wine or almost anything, it says, this is how much I appreciate you. And that is not the message I want to convey. Instead, at closing, I want a handwritten card expressing my gratitude to go to the client, and that's it. A couple weeks later, when the transaction is over and most agents have disappeared, they will receive a personalized gift that could range from a engraved bamboo cutting board to etched monogrammed wine glasses to even something that's catered specifically to their unique interests. If I found out who their favorite baseball team is, or a charity they donate to on a regular basis, or anything in between, I want to use that and give them something that's impactful, not just a gift card somewhere. And you can imagine the surprise there. The transaction is over. There's no need for the agent to be thinking about the client any longer, yet they're still being pampered with surprise gifts that are meaningful. Then, of course, depending on the caliber of the transaction, the length of it, there would be more deliverables to follow post-close. And this is huge, again, because most agents have disappeared. So for me, I constantly wanted to do things that I knew the client would still need and still appreciate, even if I've already been paid. For example, 30 days after closing, I would send my client to dinner with anyone they wanted, their husband, their wife, their partner, their friend, anyone they wanted, anywhere they wanted to go, on me with round-trip transportation provided. Now think about this. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for most people. Not because it's so crazy and so novel, but because, think about it, has anyone ever just sent you to dinner in a car, told you not to look at a bill, and then sent you back home? It's probably not happened for any of us, so to do it 30 days after a transaction has taken place simply to express gratitude is so important. And what happens in a relationship economy that we live in right now when people are made to feel special? They want to share it with the world. Every single time something arrives, it's a share-worthy moment. What do I mean by that? I mean, when people are made to feel special, they take photos, they text you thank you, they post it on Facebook, they post it on Instagram story, they're sharing it, they're emailing it, they're doing whatever they're doing to shout from the rooftops that they are important, that they were made to feel special. Think about that hotel room that you checked in on your anniversary and walked in and saw champagne on ice and roses on the bed. When you walked in there, it jolted you with excitement, but then you walked outside, you got on your phone, and you took a fresh video as if you were walking in for the very first time. Why? Because you want to share it. Now this is marketing you just cannot pay for. You literally are building an army of repeat and referral business with people who are passionately sending out messages, Facebook status updates, thanking you, and telling all of their friends about the experience they had that you created. So people would ask, you're sending your client to dinner without a gift card? What happens if that guy orders a $500 bottle of wine? Then he's a dick. But for me, I don't want to proactively dilute the client experience by saying, here's a capped limit as to how much I appreciate you. Please do not order any appetizers, and one drink, please, maximum. A gift card reduces what the client experience is actually made out to be. Think about this for a minute. Think about if someone gifted you with a dinner for two, anywhere you want to go, round trip transportation is provided, versus here's a gift card to a restaurant I've selected for you. The experience is completely polarizing. More so than that, if the client has been treated to all of these things throughout an entire transaction of 30, 60, 90 days and goes out to dinner, they are probably not thinking, how can I bend this person over a barrel and run up a huge tab? Probably not what they're thinking. After the dinner, I would send a professional service out to the house, whether it was a mobile car wash detailing service or an in-home professional cleaning or handyman work to take care of odds and ends that didn't get picked up during the transaction, or even 1 month of landscaping and gardening. But the point is, these are things and services that I know are gonna be helpful to my client that I still feel like I would like to treat them to. And now this overarching experience has become something unlike anything any client anywhere has experienced in the real estate industry. And this is usually the point at which people are like, holy shit, Jay, how much money are you spending on these clients? What market were you servicing? The luxury market on the coast? No. In fact, my market was always first-time home buyers and typically ones who are buying condos. See, the thing is, I always wanted to go deeper with what I already had versus go wider with what I didn't have. Too often, we're focused on casting out this huge net for online leads and door knocks and postcards and trying to grab new. Think about what you have right now. You have an audience. You have a pool of people who have already trusted you, which is the biggest compliment there could ever be in any industry. Why not treat those people exceptionally well? They will do the work for you in terms of earning you new business. Now, when we're a business owner, we think of things entirely different than we do when we're a consumer, even though the business owner is a consumer. Let me give an example. You could walk into a wireless service carrier, you could call your cable company, and if you saw an ad somewhere for a free phone or a certain rate, and you say, hey, I would like to redeem this, and they go, oh, no. That's for new customers only. Let's break that down. I've paid my bill on time every month for 10 years. Yet I'm being penalized and I have to pay a higher price. Why? The new customer who's never given us a penny, this deal is for them. How does that make sense? More importantly, we know as a consumer, that feels shitty. So if that feels shitty and we're a business owner, why do we do things in our own practice? Think about things that are happening right now in your real estate practice that you yourself would not be receptive to as a consumer. Free home valuation. How much do those normally cost? Exactly. So why are we advertising them as free? So in reviewing all these touches, I would always get asked, geez, how much are you spending on this? This is insane. It's not insane. This is money that you were probably already allocating just in the wrong areas. You were probably spending it on the online leads or the postcard mailers or any of the other things that have been considered traditional marketing for years and maybe aren't effective. Instead, I wanted to put all of that money I normally would have been budgeted for into people who already trusted me, already have a relationship with me, and just crush the client experience for them. And then knowing that, they will be the army of repeat and referral business for me without ever having to ask them for a referral. There are literally scripts around this, calling people and saying, Hey, I'm never too busy for your referrals. How would you respond to that if somebody called you like that? If someone popped by and came into your office unannounced, would that be appreciated? If you were at home and there was a knock on the door from a total stranger looking to sell your house, how would you react? For me, those things would never work on me as a consumer. I would not appreciate them, so I never did them as a business owner. Instead, as a consumer, I like to feel special. I like to feel thought of. I like when people do things to illustrate thoughtfulness and help me. Those are the things I'm going to talk about. Those are the things I'm going to remember. It's like the Maya Angelou quote. People will forget the things you said. They'll forget the things you did, but they will not forget the way you made them feel. And since then, since 2014, moving forward, I spent $0 on cold marketing. Zero. No more postcards, just listed, just sold, nothing. And it's not to say that those things are wrong. They work great if you're in certain markets or if you love that type of selling. For me, I never wanted the cold business. I never wanted the cold leads. I never wanted to cast the net out so wide that I was getting all these strangers calling me and grinding me on my commission or challenging me on the price. I never wanted it. All I wanted was the red hot referral business with people who already trust me, that I already have a relationship with. And that's what I did. I spent $0 on cold marketing altogether from then till now, and spent all that money I would have spent on developing and showing appreciation for my past clients. See, with a red hot referral, you have built-in forgiveness. What do I mean by that? When you're doing cold marketing, if you get a phone call off of one of your postcards or someone saw your sign, you have a very, very limited amount of time to convert this person. We see it all the time in the data that says, oh, I got an online lead. You need to call them in like 1 minute. Otherwise, there's a 500% chance they're not going to buy with you. That is not a life I am interested in living. With built-in forgiveness on a referral, here's the difference. When you get a call on a postcard or a sign or anything like that at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, if you don't answer your phone, there is a very, very high likelihood that person has moved on to another agent. Okay, they didn't answer, I'm going to the next person. You are the same at the surface as every other competitor near you. Versus a red hot referral of someone say, oh, you really got to call John. He's the person to list or sell your house, whatever the case may be. Call them, here's the phone number. If your phone rings at 11 a.m. and you don't pick it up, what's going to happen? Nothing. That person's going to leave you a message, shoot you a text. You'll get back to them when you get back to them, 3, 4 p.m., and that person is still waiting for you because they have somebody close to them that they trust who is vouching for you. If you're watching this, hopefully you have seen the movie Shawshank Redemption. And if you haven't, you should be ashamed of yourself. Just kidding. But really, let's assume that we're all at a mixer or something and we start talking about movies. The idea of Shawshank Redemption comes up. Someone asks me if I've seen it. I say no. The first thing you're going to do is ask me, how the hell have you not seen Shawshank Redemption? And you're going to be an advocate for the movie. No one asked you to do this, but you're going to be an advocate for the movie. And so let's say, I say, okay, yeah, I actually do have plans tonight to watch a movie with my fiance, so I'll check it out. The very next day, I see you again. What's the very first question you're going to ask me? What'd you think of Shawshank Redemption? Did you watch it? And if I say, no, we ended up watching Legally Blonde, you will be furious. But if I do say I watched it, you're immediately going to jump into a series of questions asking me what I liked about it. What was my favorite part? What'd you think about this? How good was the ending? Because you are now sharing in the joy and fulfillment I have experienced something you've experienced. And this is the same thing with a restaurant, with a resort, with anything. And there's no reason why it cannot be the same with a real estate transaction. We want this to stand on its own so firmly that people will shout from the rooftops about how good their experience was. So now, when that past client's out to dinner with another couple and they say, oh, I highly recommend that you call my agent, and they say, oh, well, Mark knows a guy who got his license, they jump into the same mode you just jumped into, which is, do not call that guy, forget everything. You're calling this agent, you have no idea what we experienced. We got moving boxes sent to us, we got treated to dinner, we had the forwarding of address and transfer utilities handled, there were surprises all along the way. Just trust me, you have no idea what you're about to experience if you call this person. And then of course, when the transaction was over, when all the little surprise gifts were finished, the dinner happened, the professional service happened, we were typically 8 weeks after the closing. So the key here is to never stop. An overwhelming majority of people say they would hire the same agent to sell their home who helped represent them in the purchase of the home if they could just remember that person's name. That is alarming. So if the statistics are telling us that all we need to do is stay top of mind with someone to be remembered for repeat business and referral business, we need to do a damn good job at doing so. And that doesn't mean sending "have your peeps call my peeps" at Easter. It doesn't mean sending out corny gifts or doing pop-bys or making these empty phone calls that are disguised as personal. It means sending out surprise gifts on a routine basis that are thoughtful and personal. So let's rewind for a second. What's a gift? A gift is not your corporate branded marketing swag. It's not a folio with your company name on it. It's not an awesome knife with a company name on it. It's nothing about you. It's about your client. So don't make it about you. At the end of the day, none of us are going to the beach rocking a Remax towel. It's not gonna happen. Are you ever drinking from that water bottle at the beach from your title company? Probably not. If you're gonna give a gift, not marketing swag. So that's exactly what I did. I never stopped. And every quarter, my client would receive a surprise gift. And I did this with all my past clients, and it worked out phenomenally well because all I'm doing is demonstrating care in an authentic way. A few examples, one of the first things I did was I just sent a barbecue brush to everyone I ever sold a house to in my whole career. So at that point, we were going back almost 4 years. And randomly, they received this barbecue brush with a note that said, "With summer here, I'm sure your old barbecue brush is thrashed. Here's a new one. Enjoy your summer, from Jay." That's it. Not, "By the way, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals." Not, "Do you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate?" Not company branded stuff. That's all it was. And lo and behold, it was more impactful than any of those things could have ever been. The knee-jerk reaction, of course, is either expressing thank you through a text message, phone call, email, or through a referral. Why is that? Because as humans, there is an innate human reciprocity when you experience someone giving to you. When someone gives something to you, sometimes a knee-jerk thank you isn't enough. Sometimes you want to do more for that person to illustrate your gratitude, and we see it all the time. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say me and my buddy go out for drinks one night, and we go out to the bar, and I order the first round. The likelihood that he picks up the second round is pretty high, and if not the second, definitely the third. Basically, at some point, dude better be picking up some drinks. And not because I expect it, not because I said it's tit for tat, not because it's a closing gift, thank you for this, I'm giving you this, just because that's what we do. As human beings, it's what we do. We reciprocate. We see it all the time. So when someone is made to feel special by randomly receiving a surprise gift every 3 months that's relevant to the season or a topical event or the barbecue in this case, they want to reciprocate in a way that's meaningful to you. And a lot of times that means it's a combination of sharing the experience on social media, as well as saying, "Hey, by the way, my brother-in-law is looking to buy a house. Can I have him call you?" Or, "You know what? I've lived in this house now for 5 years. What do you think it's worth? We're kind of interested in moving to the next city over." And we see this happen all the time, every single quarter, and it's just a return on investment you can't even fathom getting anywhere else in any other way. At the end of the day, caring more is what wins. So when we think about client experience and we couple it with client retention, we're looking at what are ways we can elevate peak moments of excitement during a transaction, surprise them during the times that are going to be inevitably stressful, and then with client retention, we think of what are authentic ways I can stay top of mind with this person in a way that's selfless and not constantly pointing everything back to me with my face, with my logo, with my name, but instead giving a gift to give a gift. So what's the strategy? What's the secret sauce? What's the point in all of this? Why are we going deeper with what we already have versus wider with what we don't? Because this is what's responsible for building an army of repeat and referral business. This is how you earn the passionate referral business where people are shouting from the rooftops that you are the professional to hire. So if you were to break it all down, what's the strategy with client experience, with client retention? It really boils down quite simply. Truly give a shit. And of course, if you have the power to make someone's day, you'd be crazy not to.